Hi, I'm your host Kelly Bowen, and you are listening to the Lifestyle Finance Australia show, which is dedicated to creating greater awareness about the power of leveraging finance when it comes to accelerating your growth and personal development. And we celebrate the hundreds of coaches, thought leaders, and game changers we support. This is a platform where you can meet some of the world's best experts in online business, trauma healing, digital marketing, relationship coaching, abundance and wealth creation, spiritual ascension, body healing, and wellness. So if you're looking for your next coach, healer, or mentor to take you on the next step in your journey, this is the show for you. Let's play. Welcome back to another episode of the Lifestyle Finance Show. Today, I have not just a very special guest, but my bestest friend in the whole world, the woman who taught me everything I know about business, everything that I know about finance, and all-round phenomenal human, Gaby Kowalski. I'm so honored and excited to have you on the show today because I know, behind every success, there is always somebody that has been someone's absolute champion, and you have been that for me. And I can't even imagine where I would be without you having entered my life back in 2012 and all the magical journeys that we've been on. And today, the episode is going to be a little bit different because you're going to hear a bit more sort of like behind the scenes of sort of how we've worked together, how we've grown things together, the different ventures that we've been down on, some of the projects we're coming back together and working with now. And yeah, I just feel so honored to be able to share you, your brilliance, and all the magical things that you're doing in the world. Welcome, Gabs.
Yay. Thank you so much. Aww. We're going to have so much fun. Yay. Thank you for
So much fun.
me. And just, everybody who's here listening, if you're new to me, it's wonderful to connect with you. And if you're not new to me, hello again.
It's going to be a delight.
Yeah.
So tell me, for those that haven't ever come across your work, haven't experienced you, haven't gone through the onboarding process with me where they've seen several different videos with you and I together, if you were to put it into a few sentences, how would you explain what it is that you do?
Whoa.
Okay, you can have 5 sentences.
Thanks. I'm like... well, there's different levels to what I do. So in the grander scheme, in the grander thing of what I do, I created the Oneness Foundation, which is a beautiful vision-based, new earth, intention-based, enterprise, empire that's designed to facilitate the building of a new earth. And so therefore within that, I personally do a lot of grid work, energy work around the planet, working with councils of light, going on missions, and have launched Magic School for Kids, which is an online free ascension platform serving all of our children to be able to receive thought mastery, emotional mastery, fully creating relationships with their body, spiritual evolution, ascension, quantum access, and full support in their own consciousness evolution for them to grow up with the most beautiful heart consciousness as they are the future leaders of our world. And then as it sort of filters further down, I also have the honor to facilitate a few different programs where one in the New Earth Mission Collective, which Kelly is one of the beautiful souls that receives inside of this journey. I support true visionaries like those devoted to making a difference to their ascension, to co-creating the new, innovating the new ways of everything on this planet. So it really serves humanity and is supporting their ascension for them to truly build what I call mission empires of light, where we go beyond business, beyond just profits, and yes, have abundance, yet we align with our soul at such a deep level where everything we do is so precise to co-creating and fulfilling our soul missions on this planet. And then I also have another offering called Mission Empire Builder, which Kelly's actually one of the coaches on now.
This is true.
And this supports souls who are still, within the first years of turning their gift, their passion into something that can sustain them financially. So, we would say the first stages of business, yet in truth, we are showing them how to build true little mission empires, so in alignment with their soul, to have offerings that are unique to them, phenomenal, world class, and everything they need to market them in the highest ways and to build their tribes and their brands. And so this is a great honor too, because we're literally watching amazing souls get their gifts out into the world, which is an expansion of Kelly's mission with what she does with lifestyle finance too. And then I have another beautiful offering called Quantum Magic School, where in that I get to support souls to remember who they are, call back their magic, and become certified quantum practitioners. And in that, this is where people are literally, calling back very profound gifts to work in the quantum, light language, toning, like magic, literal magic, to be able to go deep into the layers of the subconscious, find the programs, the codes, the templates that are creating the realities that maybe they don't want to have, and then upgrade everything so as to create, create what we want, manifest what we want into physicality. And then I also get to play with people in the Codex of Abundance, where I share the scrolls of abundance. Oh, and Kelly's also a professor of magic school, where she teaches nervous system, inner child, like really profound work on ascending with our nervous system and ascending with our inner child, and being able to fast track, what could take decades, lifetimes, into a much shorter time span for us to truly be sovereign and free and abundant. Had to say that too, because it's pretty cool that Kelly gets to co-create these beautiful things with me. And so that's just a little bit of a taste of some of the things that I do. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. And it is I love everything that you do so much, because there's so much heart in it, and there's so much purity in the frequency, and there's so much of you honoring your soul and the guidance that's come through. Yet I know that that's not always where the journey has been. And what we really wanted to do, in sort of like when we were curating this episode before we jumped on, was we want to take you back to the garage days and sort of where it all started, because at this point, you have such a beautiful, incredible empire of light right now, Gabs, yet it didn't start this way. And sometimes I think when people are on their journey, depending upon where they're at, they look at people 10 years into it with these incredible, thriving empires, and they're in their first couple of years and they're like, well, I want to be there now. Yet there's a whole journey that needs to take place. So we want to go back there and talk about some what it was like at the beginning, and sort of when your empire of light is starting to talk to you and those soul whispers start to come through. What does it sound like? And how do you know which ones to listen to? And how do you know which ones to ground? And how do you know which ones to focus on? So we want to take you back there. Are you willing to go back there, Gabs?
Yes.
Right. Well, let's go. So when this calling to start what is now the Oneness Foundation, where did that originally start for you?
Gosh, it's kind of funny. This, a long time ago, I'll never forget this, I'm going roughly about probably close to 10 years before I did anything about it. So I was driving to a sales appointment. I was a sales rep. I had my own little, I was like a subcontractor. At this particular time, I was still a subcontractor. I didn't have my own franchise yet. And I was working for a water purification company, and I was listening to Tony Robbins in my car, and so much Tony Robbins was part of my journey 20 odd years ago. And thank you, Tony, for all of that. And Tony was sharing how, he was just sharing stories in this recording of how people would come up to him saying thank you. And at this one particular event that it was like a book signing or something event, and not many people showed up, and he was sharing how something didn't quite go right, and he was wondering why he was even there, because it was a bit of a flop. And this woman came up to him and with tears in her eyes and said, "Thank you so much. I read your book, Awaken the Giant Within, and it changed me forever." And she started sharing how at the time she was bad relationship, bad health, unemployed, substance abuse, all of this stuff. And that book literally woke her up, and she left all of those realities behind. And now she was, I think she was working as a social worker, making a difference, fully living a life of purpose. And I'm driving along in the car and there was tears streaming down my face. My heart expanded and I thought to myself, I want to do that. I want to be able to serve other people. Like it just felt so resonant to me. And at the time I was studying like NLP and kinesiology and quantum work, and I was applying all of these quantum intelligences to reprogram my consciousness into my then sales job, so I would expand my limitations. And so I was learning how to do selling and also retweaking my consciousness so I could create outstanding results, and it was working. And I promised myself that once I was like, in that car, I was like, once I achieve my dreams in business, once I do all of these things and I prove that, this quantum stuff really works, I'm going to show other people how to do it. I'm going to show other people how to rewire their own consciousness, reprogram themselves so they can project the realities of their choosing. And then in 2012, at this point, I was actually in finance, which I'm sure we'll share a little bit more of later. I got a tap on my shoulder, and my soul was like, it's time. You've literally created outstanding results in 2 industries that had never been done before. It's time to show others. And so, it's kind of funny, but that's where, like, to me, that's where it started. And then to learn this, I went to I went to all of these events. And this is the funny part, that when my mission activated, this is when I met Kelly, because I then was like, okay, I can do this, but how? Like, how am I meant to build a seminar business? How am I meant to do this? I don't know how to do this. I know how to do water filter sales, finance. I know how to do quantum work and all sorts of other, brain mechanic stuff. And so I literally saw an advertisement at a book workshop for a cruise that was happening a couple of months from the day that that I'd had this tap on my shoulder. And it was a cruise with Hay House Publishing, where they were going to teach people how to be movers and shakers and
Speak, Write, Promote. Speak,
Write and Promote, it was called. And Wayne Dyer was there doing a course, and of course I signed up for both courses and booked
Me too.
So did Kelly. And off I went, and that's where I met Kelly. And it began with that, and then of course many mentors, coaches and courses later, I pieced all the pieces together in order to, and many years of implementation to take me to the place that I am now. But isn't that kind of cool that, that the birth of this dream was literally the beginning point of meeting you?
Right. I just find that
I don't think we've ever joined that, Dot.
No, I don't think we have either. And it wasn't, from my honest truth was, it was maybe 6 months before then, I bought a health product thinking that was going to be the next big thing. And my psychic told me to invest in this. Another story, another episode. Yet anyway, here's me with my sister and her boyfriend, and we got our $40,000 together and we put it into this guy's bank account, no contracts, cash. It wasn't even a bank transfer, it was cash. Anyway, needless to say, that business didn't go anywhere, but we needed to learn how to talk about this business. We needed to learn how to sell this product. Yeah. And we signed up for the same cruise for the same reason. And Wayne Dyer happened to be there. We really liked him because we'd been doing his Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. Is that one of his books? Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. I'm pretty sure that's him.
He's got lots of beautiful books.
He's got lots of beautiful books. It was the same time he'd released Wishes Fulfilled. I think it was the last book before he passed away.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, that was the moment. Had that not happened, maybe had I not bought that product, I probably...
Can you imagine if you didn't buy Switch? Maybe you wouldn't have gone on the cruise.
On that boat cruise.
So...
sliding doors, right?
Sliding doors.
All right, so next question. And you and I have both seen this a lot, is that when people's mission activates, that deeper desire to make a difference and to leave a positive impact on the world and help it ascend and evolve and raise collective consciousness for the benefit of all, when that kicks in, there's so many paths that open, and often there's a confusion between, should I go this path or that path, or should I do this thing or that thing? And we've both seen this where people get confused, where they do something for a little bit and then they drop it and like, oh, here's the next thing, and then they drop it. Yet one thing that I've always really admired about you, Gabs, is that you've had one thing and you've literally just stuck with it no matter what life's thrown at you, and you've really followed it through. So if you were to try and put it in words, what do you think, had you had that level of clarity around what it was that you were sticking to, or what had you cultivate that level of commitment to see it through to the empire of light that it is now? Because I've seen it take so many different turns and evolutions through that journey, yet you've been so committed to the fulfillment of that.
Gosh, it's a bit of an interesting question. So I really do truly believe that, like, I think this is a character thing. I think this is just like, this is our own journey into into truly placing our flag somewhere and owning that. And I think the reason why, for me personally, once I make a decision, I'm all in, is I don't know any other way to be. That I don't have the programming that doesn't have that happen. And I know that's not the answer that you were looking for, yet it's just who I am. I don't know any other way to be. Yet what I can share is some of the architecture and the infrastructure that support that.
Great.
And does that make sense? So it's like, yeah, it's kind of like you asking me, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. So here is a couple of cool things. One of the architectures for me is the consciousness of true legacy. And legacy to me is not created in 1 hour, 1 minute, 1 day, 1 year, or even sometimes 1 lifetime. And so, what that means though is there is a true yes to doing something for the rest of our lives, because it excites us, because it's truly a part of our passions, our interests, because why wouldn't we? So to me, I adore consciousness ascension. Like, I'm a geek when it comes to mission expansion, consciousness ascension, the universe, the quantum. It's like I love it so much that I'm going to be consuming information and expanding myself around this forever, not because I have to, but because I can't, just who I am. And so one of the pieces to me around this is, having something that is truly a passion for us, that under no circumstances, would we ever want to be away from it, because we love it so much. And if we take our true excitement and our true passion, and we choose to do something wonderful with it in the world, then that of course has us stick. The other piece to this though, I feel, which is really important, I'm going to use a farming analogy.
Great. This is going to be awesome. She's never lived on a farm.
Ever.
I'm holding my breath.
So I want to kind of put it to you like this. If you were to decide that you want to be a farmer because you love fruit and vegetables and you want to grow your own, and you've been eating fruits and vegetables, in fact, you are a vegan, you're a raw foodist, and you're going to grow your own fruits and vegetables, and you know that you need to eat these things, right? And you buy yourself a beautiful block of land and you learn how to farm. Is it safe to say that you're not going to expect to eat your own food in the short term?
No.
No. Is it safe to say? The answer should be yes.
Yes. What I meant is, I meant, no, you're not going to have your own food in the short term. But yes, it is safe to say you're going to have to wait. That's
right. Which means that in the short term, you're still going to be buying your fruit and veg from Joe, who's been doing this a long time and has an established farm. Mm-hmm. And that means you're going to prepare your land. You're going to make sure that your land is all good. And sometimes that takes a bit of time. Some of the land may need a little bit of love before you can plant into it. Then here's the piece. You're going to plant some bananas, some coconuts, some passion fruit, some, some pineapples. You know, it takes up to 2 years for a freaking pineapple to grow. Like, I'm still blown away at that. And next time you eat a pineapple, minimum 18 months. Some of them take 3 years. So just putting that out there.
True story.
I really appreciate pineapples when I eat them. And that means that you would then plant this. You would, and depending on your level of cash flow, capital, you would either plant the seed because that's all you can afford, or you would plant a little plant, because you can afford that. Now, if you have more capital in your farm, you're going to put in plants, which means you're going to be able to eat faster. Yet if you don't have as much capital, you're going to have to plant a lot of seeds. And you're just going to have to play more with time. Yeah, so when we're building our farm, aka our mission empire of light, in brackets, our mission business, then we want to look at it like farming. And so here you are, and you've planted all of these things. Now what do? You still can't eat any of them. If you're at the seed stage, all you got to do is water and love and nurture. If you're at the plant stage, water and love and nurture and take care of this stuff. Bugs could come, this could happen depending on, all the things. Sometimes animals come and eat some of your bananas and all of this happens, right?
They sure do.
And I share this because we know this, that, that it's just logical that if we want to grow our own produce, it's a long-term investment. And then what happens if you do a great job for a couple of years, what will happen is that there will be food all the time, meaning that 2 years later, you've got pineapples because they finally grew. And if you were smart and you knew how to plant in between, what happens is eventually you have a full farm that's always producing food. There's different things happening all the time, and you now can fully feed yourself. You put in the love, you put in the time, the money, the love, the energy. You knew you had to go get your food from somebody else at the beginning, and you did this. When it comes to, I did good with the farming thing.
I'm so impressed, even with the seedlings. You knocked me off my chair.
I've literally got clients who I've shared this with who call me Farmer G.
I can see why.
Because it's such a beautiful set of wisdom to receive when we are building our own. And when we take this to our own mission, our mission activates. And for most people, they've never been a farmer before, aka they've never had a business before. I went in to this with already having business knowledge. I phenomenal at understanding the art of influence, sales, like human behavior. I definitely did not come into building this with nothing. And it's it took a decade of learning a whole bunch of other stuff to come here, and then there was a lot of pieces. No different to, Kelly and I literally were in the process of purchasing a biodynamic farm last year. And it was overwhelming with so much, how much stuff we would need to know in order to maintain it. We were going to have a consultant come on, and the owner was going to come on for 2 years and run everything and teach us. Yet, whoa, it's the same thing. And so when people come into building their own, we've got to learn the skills. So there is skills to learn around, first the land, the foundation. If the offerings that we have are not really polished, world-class, structured in a way that are sustainable for us, that create beautiful experiences, we don't go very far. There's a lot of people out there that create offerings that, with respect, are not, it's like they're planting 2 carrots. And what happens is the carrots grow, they eat them, they're back to no carrots. There's a lot of people running a model of they'll plant a few carrots, they'll wait for them to grow, they'll eat them, they're hungry, and they're in and out of hungry, full, hungry, full, hungry, full. And it's actually the structure that they have that's causing them, and they don't know because they haven't gone to a farmer, they haven't gone somewhere to receive the actual framework from someone properly, you know. So that's one piece. And then there's another piece of, there are a lot of people out there that go in and like have no money, which would be like me going in with no food. I'm going to get myself some land. I go in with no food and grow myself some veggies and wait. And wait. And I'm hungry and I'm hungry and I'm really hungry and I'm starving. And so money...
You're going to die before they grow.
That's right. And hence what happens to a lot of souls out there is they run out of money. And then what happens is they start to feel poo about themselves. They start to feel like they failed. And it's not, like, it's so normal to have, it takes a bit of time for the money to come through because there's a lot to build. There's literally no different to, there's like, it's the same thing. It's identical, and no amount of wishful thinking, magical thinking, positive thinking can change that. No different to, I can be a really powerful being with so much quantum capability, and I can 100% support my fruit and veg to grow faster. Like, it's proven that you can co-create with energetics, but not overnight. I'm not going to take a seed to a full-grown 20-year-old tree overnight. You know, in this particular point right now as I speak to you. I may in the future, just right now, that's not what I'm playing with. And this is where, you know, we wanted to share this because there's not enough people online talking about the fact that the first often 2 to 3 years, you know, of establishing our mission, the right way, by the way, because it can take a lot longer. It's like the first 2-3 years of building a farm. You know, there's a lot that needs to happen, a lot of money, a lot of time, you know, a lot of love needs to go into it before we can reap the harvest. And the same thing happens when we grow our missions. If we're not willing to give it a couple of years with the right wisdom and knowledge, then we're missing the whole thing. And yes, there's people online that, you know, say things like 0 to 7 figures in my first year. Yet I promise you, every one of them, if you look, they've been at it. They've had either many failed attempts at other things. They've got bigger stories to share beyond that. It wasn't like this is like farmers who have stuffed up a lot of farms, then finally get the right land, the right friggin' veggies and fruits, and do it right the last time. But they've got all the knowledge of how to do it. And then, yes, and they've got the ability to plant proper plants, not just seeds. And then, poof, you know, yes, they were able to do something pretty outstanding, or what we go wow to. Yet that's not the norm. That's why when they share this online, it makes people go, wow, I want to do that. I want to have a full veggie farm in 6 months, you know. And so I wanted to share that. What do you want to build upon?
Yeah, and we see that a lot. Like, you can either buy the farm where it's about to produce its crop, and then you get a crop, and then you're like, wow, this is awesome. And then all of a sudden, because you don't know how to keep planting the crops, your farm kind of crashes. Or, as you said, they fall into the illusion that just because somebody said they built their business up to multiple 6-7 figures within the space of 12 months, like, there's a bigger story behind that. And it's actually one of the questions that I usually ask on this podcast is to all the incredible, amazing business partners that we have is like, how many failed businesses before this one? And I always love asking that question because the story behind what it actually took to get here, it's always about that journey of who do I need to become. And even in some of these instances, is that I've seen people wanting to come out of their 9-to-5s because they don't like it, they're unhappy in that, and they're going through like same old, and they can feel part of themselves dying, and they've had that tap on the shoulder that there's more to life than this, there's more to you than this, like there's a greater purpose that you hear. It's like the taxi lights come on, and it's like, I'm available. And then they want to shift out of that mentality of where you're so used to every week, rather than growing the veggies yourself, you've got the delivery of food to your door every week, and it's guaranteed to come every week. So you know the food's going to be there too. Holy shit, well, now I have to find the land, I've got to cultivate it, I've got to grow it. And this whole process, like, there's a whole shift in identity, there's a whole shift in who you need to become. And I can promise that if you were to come out of that environment, if you weren't already in some kind of business development, business management role, going into business is such a culture shock. And it takes
Like
time.
going into farming.
It's literally like,
but it's just, it's like growing up with a supermarket your whole entire life, and then there you are on the land, and you've got to grow it yourself.
And you've got to grow it yourself, and you're literally trying to stand there with your fire sticks trying to start a fire, and you don't know what you're doing. But even in that though, like you see when they're going through that process, that even if you were to have us go from like earning just a normal wage, let's even say if you're earning 100K a year on a wage, just consistent, you knew it was going to be in your bank each week, going to that to your own business, and even if you were to grow something to 7 figures within the space of 12 months, it is highly likely the wheels on that bus are going to be rolling down the farm road, because there is so much in who you need to become to be able to deal with business at that level, to deal with clients at that level, to deal with the fulfillment of the obligations of your commitment to the people that you're serving at that level. And it's kind of like when you see people win the lottery. They win the lottery and then you go check on them within a couple of years, and if they haven't done the internal work to become who they need to be to hold that level of abundance and freedom in their field, they find a way to go back to the old reality. And it's incredible and alarming and terrifying how quickly that happens. So I remember you and I were at Tony Robbins' Business Mastery, and he said, business is the biggest spiritual growth journey you'll ever undergo. And he wasn't wrong. Like the amount that I have had asked of me in becoming who I've become to have this business at this level, and all of the previous businesses before this business, it's asked of me more than anything has asked of me. And each time, the thing that I'm continuously dealing with and learning to stretch and grow around is how much can I hold certainty and how much can I hold knowing in the space of my internal environment reflecting something very different. Because it's one thing for you to be able to hold that for yourself when you're in the solopreneur kind of space, but then when you've got team, and you're having to, and you can see that things aren't great, and they can see that things aren't great from an external perspective, and you've got to hold the knowing and the certainty and the torch of hope and the vision. That, like, it's one thing to hold it for yourself, but when you've got other people relying upon you on that, that's a journey. Like, that's the difference between 6 and 7 figures. And becoming that person takes work. And I think, like, even, I loved what you said earlier about how to do this like a farm, it's time and money investment. Time, money, and energy investment, and not on a short-term scale. Like I remember watching, I think it was on the Mind Valley platform, a guy called Bowen, and he talks about having a 10-year plan. And his first 10 years of professional football, that's how long it took him to become the very best in the league at the particular position that he held. And then after that, he went on to become a stage performer. And he wanted to be the very best at that particular like theatre performance. And he was told it would take him 10 years to do it. And he was like, great, I work really well with 10-year plans. And that really landed for me. And he did become the best at that. And it landed for me because I also realized I do the same thing. I work really well on 10-year plans. Anytime I try and shorten that plan and don't give myself the luxury of that 10-year time, it doesn't work for me. It took me 10 years to win a world title as a young woman. And then even to get to this level of success in business, it's taken me 10 years.
I love that. Here's one for you. I've been working on a 200-year plan for years now. And I'm not sure if you recall this from one of the events.
I was about to say, tell me more.
I literally, I haven't done this for a few years yet. I used to always do this in the leadership events. And Kelly's probably done this and she probably just can't remember.
Oh, it could have been quantum napping at the time. I fall asleep in a lot of activations.
Well, this wasn't it, but anywho, you might remember as I jog your memory, the importance of legacy versus short term is having a 200-year-old vision, having a vision not that's for the next 5 years or 10 years, to really look at 200 years from now. How will my being on this planet and doing what I do have changed the world? What does the world look like 200 years from now? And so to me, that is, you remember now, that is something that drives me. And yes, of course, there's within that 200 years, like it's safe to say I won't be here in 200 years. And Yet at the same time, that's the seeds I'm planting I'm looking at the tree 200 years from now. I'm looking at, when I plant this seed, what will it look like 200 years from now? And therefore, if I, right now with Magic School for Teens and Kids, we've been literally for a year ago, I did a call out to volunteers. We had all of these meetings, created the structure. We've created the whole membership site. We've spent the last year really fine tuning all of the different pieces for the kids to be able to come in and receive from the online library and their classes, and fine tuning. And we've got 360 children. We literally had 60 children enroll in the last few days, which is really exciting right now around the world, and quite a lot of beautiful, amazing, heart-centered teachers that are teaching various classes. And I don't look at Magic School for Teens and Kids and go oh, it's 1 year in, we've only got 360 students. I thought we'd have 10,000 by now. I'm looking at where will Magic School be for kids. This is to me 10 years from now, 20 years from now. I see 10 years from now, kids that are currently there will be running classes for other kids. 20 years from now, we will be, if not sooner, where there'll be the other new schools co-creating with us and receiving some of the beautiful templates from us that we've been able to acquire through this journey. I see this being normal, a normal part of life, that just like Facebook is normal and YouTube is normal, Magic School for Kids is a normal part of life where all kids know they can go to this library and it's a known thing. And I'm okay with that being something, so 50 years from now, 100 years from now, and imagine, who's running it. And so to me, I'm very happy I'm okay with things taking their time. I've got, same with offerings and the evolution of my offerings. New Earth Mission Collective has evolved so much over the last decade. Its names have changed, its structure, its teachings have changed. And to me, this is such an important piece, that when we play the game of mission legacy, and it's not even a game, when you asked me, what is it about me that at the start, you said, what is it about you that had you just stick? And to me, we stick when we are co-creating with our heart and legacy. When we're just doing something to make some money, if it's just about us and our freedom, I don't feel like we build the farm. We go back to the shop and buy our bananas because building the farm's too hard. Yet when it's beyond it, when it's not just about our freedom and our financial and time freedom, when it's truly about leaving this planet so much better than how we found it, when we're truly playing with soul, mission, legacy, then there's nothing that could happen that would get us to come off the path. That everything is a gift for our conscious ascension. That what we would perceive as a challenge is never anything more than yet another beautiful opportunity for us to become more of a leader, to be able to hold more certainty, to be able to expand and let go of more fear, to be able to hold more love in our hearts. Yeah.
You mentioned, I 100% agree. And I think that's where we get, in this world of instant gratification and dopamine addiction, we get so caught in the instant success, and it's glorified. And we see it it's constantly pumped at us in our news feeds, and we forget that nothing in nature really grows like that overnight. Anything lasting doesn't grow like that. And this is where, when we sort of realign back with our natural selves and we relax into these more expanded states and these more expanded timelines, that the irony is, when we do this, we actually get to where we want to go so much faster. It's when we get caught, what that does, how it traps our energy when we get stuck into these micro focuses of, I need to be here by this time, or it's got to be this, or the self-gain in it, and we get stuck. But when we stand back out and we can expand back to this bigger picture, it really makes a difference. And I want to circle back on something that you said, and I want to talk about it a little bit more, because this is another space where I see coaches get stuck. And you mentioned that over the period of time, what is now New Earth Mission Collective has evolved and taken many I guess,
Yes.
organic ascensions. And now it's even birthed its own product, being Mission Empire Builder. Can you talk to us a little bit more in terms of how you're able to continuously evolve that program and work with the program, and how the clients came with you and what that process was like? Because what I've seen is when coaches go through this growth phase, they're like, oh, I don't do that product anymore, I'm launching this whole new one. They kind of throw the baby out with the bathwater, as opposed to continuing to evolve it.
Stop,
Or they
stop growing bananas. Like, nah, I'm not into bananas anymore. I'm just going to focus on pineapples. And their
grew
whole
bananas
banana
once.
field is full and luscious, but they just ignore it and they start planting pineapples. And remember
The
how
bananas go bad.
I love this question. It's interesting too, because especially if you're listening to this, watching this, and you are, choosing your own personal growth, which means you're changing and you're growing and you're consciously working on the expansion of your consciousness. We're waking up new people every week, every day.
Every day. My God.
And what that means for us is that we can have an offering, what you could call a product, and we could look at it, and all of a sudden we're not as excited. So the first signs of you didn't evolve with your offering are that your offering no longer excites you. Yet a lot of people then go, well, I don't want to grow bananas anymore. I want to go grow a pineapple. And what's available instead is just like we evolved when we're interconnected with our offerings and we know that they're actually a part of us. Just like our soul birthed an us, we are a fractal of our soul consciousness, which is a fractal of source consciousness. Our soul literally births our offerings, and they aren't just bananas, they literally are a fractal of our soul consciousness. Now, yet at the same time, because we're evolving so much, that fractal can either stay stagnant in the quantum now, which means stuck in linear time, and that's kind of like, imagine you as a 5-year-old still there, right next to you, not being able to integrate into circular time.
Like a trapped inner child.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Or the offering can ascend with us. And what then happens is a totally different way of co-creating, a totally different way of doing stuff, that there is no such thing anymore that an offering is complete. So in the 3D, what I call, in the old way of doing things, which is in old way business, we make a product, we refine it, it works, and that's it all the time. A banana's a banana, right? And that's great. All our marketing, has talked about bananas. Everyone knows what a banana is, rock on. The new way to do things, though, is innovation. The new way to do things is expansion. It's accepting that everything grows, everything. And so then we take the banana and we go, what would make this exciting to me right now? Wow, I'm also really excited about chocolate. What if I dip the banana into chocolate? And oh my God, chocolate bananas. And then you've got a whole new offering for the world that excites you again. And so for me personally, when I first started, I knew that one of my missions was to serve souls on a mission to get their gifts out there. Because almost 25 years ago, I was in a situation where I had a theatre company for children that was making no money, and I was also a practicing quantum healer, kinesiologist, Bowen therapist, and I had no clients. And I decided to go learn how to farm, learn how to make all of that work. And that one day I would take all the skills and then all the quantum stuff, all the thought mechanic stuff to expand the consciousness, mush them together and show people how to do this. And that was that tap on the shoulder in 2012. First, I wanted to do this myself and prove that my stuff could work. I did it in 2 industries, and then I showed others. So I knew from day one that I was going to be showing people with gifts how to get their gifts out into the world. And so when I first launched, It was about heart-centered business, and it was called Business Masterclass. That was the first offering.
I remember.
Yep, Business Masterclass. And I learned the hard way how to not structure your offerings.
Oh, those 12-hour days.
Yes. It's kind of funny too, because I think, our mentors do have this beautiful influence on us.
Influence, oh my God.
Is to do these 12, 14-hour days. And so I would do, once a month, there was a 12-hour day. And I would pump my people with so much stuff. That's, regardless though, then what happened was Business Masterclass evolved again into like 2-day events, and the format changed, the teachings changed, everything.
First class mastermind.
Yep. And then the name changed. I was like, the everything about it, the branding. Now, here's the thing, right? It wasn't that Business Masterclass was the banana and then the first class mastermind was the passion fruit or the pineapple. I allowed Business Masterclass to transform into first class. Does that make sense? That I didn't close it down, I renovated it. I allowed it to grow. It grew with me. And I promise you, our clients never say no when we add stuff to their offerings. And so when I had people in there and all of a sudden I'm like, okay, guys, we're now doing 2-day events instead of 1-day events. And everyone who's here, you don't have to pay extra. And yes, I would increase the investment for new people, for the new model. Yet when we grow, the expansion, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone will always love the expansion, and it never happened, yet even if there was someone who didn't like the expansion, that's okay. They get the opportunity to not complete the journey if they don't want to. In my experience, I've never had anyone not like the expansions of things shifting. Then First Class Mastermind shifted again because my own mission of creating a whole new world really got more embodied, and then it became the New Earth Mission Collective for souls that are truly here building the new earth, that their missions, their mission empires of light, aka their mission businesses, are part of the architecture, that they're ascending, that it's so much more than just their own back pocket. They're truly happy to take missions that they don't even get paid for, to clear energetics, to come and volunteer in different projects and stuff. And so this is what Kelly was asking me to share. And there's been many people over the years that I've shared this with that it's made a big difference to, because they would create something, fall out of resonance almost before they were ready to launch it.
Oh my God, we've seen this so much.
And it's, and that's like you plant the seeds for carrots, just as the little carrot's about to sprout, you're over carrots, and now you're planting tomatoes. And just before the tomato, you're planting a cucumber, and you have no garden. Nothing goes beyond seed, So the way that we do this is of course, we need to know what our mission is. If we don't know, if we don't have clarity on what it is, one of the very first thing that we do with souls when they come into either the New Earth Mission Collective or the Mission Empire Builder is we go super deep on mission, supporting souls to refine, to, we channel, we support them to really get clear on their mission, on their offerings. That's the land, that's the foundation. Without that, you don't get very far,
Mm-hmm.
So, and I love that you asked that question.
Yeah, I just think it's really important that message gets out there, because we just see it a lot. You spend so much time and energy in creating this land and preparing it, and almost have a crop to then just walk away from it and forget about it, and then do the same process. And the other thing that was really stood out to me at the early days of growing a business, or this is launching any new product, any new service, whatever it is, there's 3 different stages of energy, and depending upon where you are within that process, it depends upon which sort of energy you're using. So you've got the beginning stages of something. You've always got to use a lot of start energy, and this is high energy. Think of it like you're putting a rocket into outer space. It takes so much fuel to get that rocket from ground zero into the Earth's atmosphere. Once it's in the atmosphere, though, it doesn't take much energy. And so when people are in this phase where they're like planting crops and walking away because they've outgrown it but forgot to evolve the crop with it, they're constantly outlaying these huge amounts of start energy. And then they get into this space of burnout. And before that, they've even launched their business or been on the farm enough to grow multiple crops, they're burnt out because they keep using this high potent energy that's not meant to be continuously used. It's meant to shift and transition into a maintain energy, which is once you see the rocket into outer space, they're just using they're maintaining with thrust boosters every now and then to keep the rocket on course to wherever it's going. It doesn't need a lot of energy, which is the same. Like once you've planted your crop and it's grown to a certain level, it doesn't require as much time and attention from you. The trees are big enough now that you don't have to watch all the little animals and critters coming around to eat it because it can kind of take care of itself.
Yeah, and you're actually okay to share some of it with them, meaning
right?
that there's so much bananas, go for it, have some. There's too much. There's, and then we're okay with, like it's the abundance kicks in, right?
Yeah.
So we truly shift into abundant timelines, abundant realities, and they do happen. They always happen if we're willing to grow. The amount of times over the years I've had souls tell me things like, thank you for believing in me. I literally just got a voice message the other day from someone who was like, oh my gosh, Gabby, for those couple of years that you kept telling me it's all gonna, you believed in me when I didn't believe in me, and I would come and probably, annoy the crap out of you with all of my worrying and, oh, should I, is this really ever going to happen? And yeah, and she's like, I've been generating so much abundance every single month. She's like, it happened.
I got the same message.
Yep. I don't know how you knew and not only her, I've had so many people over the years send me these messages. And it's because, I know that the friggin' bananas will grow. It's just this message is important, that allow your crop to grow. You give it love, nurture the crop. Yet, what does that mean? And with I think we've got about 5 minutes left. If I can share a little bit in our section, is that correct? We've got 5 minutes left to talk.
I'll give it 9.
Okay, got 9. I'll take it. Inside of this piece, I also wanted to share, what does that mean? Because we're not actually growing bananas. And what does it actually truly mean for someone who's listening to this and is relatively new to the different pieces that do need to be ticked off? Stage 1, stage 2, that do not go past this stage. Because I also see people not finish a stage, and go to the next stage and wonder, and that's not finishing, and
run out of resources.
And then run out of resources.
Or misuse their resources.
Yep, that too. And so stage 1 is always, always, always going to be clarity on what you're doing, why you're doing it, and having an offering that's truly wonderful for the world. It has to be wonderful. And if your offering is not yet wonderful, then do practice. There are coaches out there that it's better for them to actually do a lot more pro bono stuff and to practice and get their hours up, and just collect testimonials until they come to a place where they're like, whoa, my stuff is creating phenomenal change. And whoa, okay, this is how, does that make sense? There is a moment of mastery where sometimes we need to stay within a skill set for a little bit longer. I have seen coaches go do coach courses, not have the hours of practice behind them, and want to go off and plant their farm, want to go off and do their thing. And yet the truth is they're not good enough yet. And that's hand on heart, apologies, yet that's the truth. And that's a fire that won't burn very bright because their clients won't come back. They won't tell anyone. That's all your seeds don't really grow, if we can't retain a soul in our field, that's like having a seed that never produced fruit. It's not just about one-off sales. That's a very, very old, outdated model, and it requires a lot of marketing, and that's
too much start energy.
So number 1 is that, you know, be really comfortable with what your offer is. And if you need to practice as much as you possibly can, serving others with your offering, even run like, you know, free pilot stuff with your friends. Number two, once you have your offering and you're like, yep, this is great, you need to, if you don't believe in your offering, if you honestly don't believe that your offering is incredible and beautiful and you don't love it as much as you love your best friend or your dog or your cat, then you stay here until you do. Like all of my offerings are, they're team members on my mission. The New Earth Mission Collective is a member of my team. Everything that happens in it is changing the world. Same with Magic School, same with Codex of Abundance, same with Mission Empire Builder. I serve them. When I talk about them, I serve them. You know, it's not like, gosh, I've got so much reverence. They will channel to me instructions. The New Earth Mission Collective literally birthed a whole other offering. That inside of the New Earth Mission Collective library of all the things that people learn there, a section of it's available for people in the Mission Empire Builder, which is just focusing on the first stages, which are mission offering, and what I'll continue to say. And like New Earth Mission Collective literally asked me to do that. It wasn't even coming from here or here. It was coming from, so there's this reference, you know. And if there is anything inside of you where you're not feeling certain about your offering, please go and work with someone on that, because that will show through. If you start creating content and calling people in, you're calling people with an energy that will mirror that to you. It's messy. Like the frequency is so important. Say that you love your offering and you're like, yes, this is the best thing since sliced something. Bread and wheels and blah, and you're excited. The next piece is to what I call code the internet and code the world. You're to share your message anywhere you possibly can, and you've got to become a messenger, which is the other way of saying a brand, a mission brand. You know, if any, like Jesus or Buddha or, you know, any of these teachers that have carried their legacy over, you know, into spiritual teachings, had access to social media, they wouldn't be, you know, fluffing around, which means the next piece is becoming phenomenal at being a messenger, learning how to communicate through words, through video, you know, sharing your message, learning how to, what I call code the internet, creating content that shares some pieces of what you do, and then creating content that invites people, you know, that's very clear that you have this offering, that there's a lot of people out there that are just sharing content, but you don't know what they actually offer. They don't talk about their offerings enough. You want to be able to look at your social media, and I want to be able to stalk you on Instagram and see by your pictures the names of your offerings, the brandings, all the information. If I can't stalk you and find that information, you're actually not coding the internet with your mission. You're not. So there's this piece of, and it's beyond marketing. Like this is, yes, we take some marketing intelligence, yet we're talking like, whoa, powerful coding, powerful grid work, changing the very landscape of the internet with your teachings and little snippets of them. So pieces of your library are available to people. And then it's learning how to guide people into the right offering. If you just let anyone into your offering, that can't receive from you potentially, long term, not really sustainable. Short term, you might get some extra cash. Long term, that person could potentially leave halfway through, you know, it doesn't work really well. So then it's like this refinement, real refinement to know who your stuff is for, knowing how to call them in, and then how to guide people to the right offering. You know, when people come to co-create with us, with me, they have a call with someone, one of our course consultants, and sometimes even me, because I'll jump in and do it. And we channel in for them. We call in their soul family. We call in the frequency of all of our offerings, and we ask questions. We know how to ask questions to guide that soul to the most precise offering for them. Sometimes they come in going, I want to do this one. And we're like, actually, this one would be better for you. you know, because, and then they're like, oh, thank you so much. Yes, I can see that now. This is important. And then it's like learning how to, this is beyond selling. Like it's selling 8.0, you know, it's the most integral, beautiful way to guide a soul. Then team building, structure, like infrastructure building, systems, automations, and really becoming a leader. And when we take this journey, then we stand there with a crop filled with so much delicious abundance for us. And we have the time and resources to go and do other amazing projects. Ta-da! I did it in 5 minutes.
You did. I do have one last question though, but being that this is a show also celebrating how finance has helped accelerate this growth and help of growth of the farm, because like what you have just shared is so invaluable, and it is the most direct path to creating a mission empire of light, something that will last the test of time and will grow and evolve with you. And I wanted to take a little moment to talk about the involvement that finance has had, because it's been a huge part of both of our growth and how much it's been able to fast track stuff. And my question to you is, what impact in all of this, in creating all of this, has finance had on your own personal growth, and then being able to offer it to your clients in your consultations to allow them to fast track your growth? What has it made available on both sides of that aspect?
Yeah, thank you. So first up, one thing to know that Kelly and I, so for those of you that don't know, Kelly and I like worked together in finance. So I was the one that had the finance brokerage, and then Kelly came on and I taught her how to do this. And then she purchased the brokerage from me, and now she's made, like it's just, woof, it's evolved and ascended.
It has evolved.
And yet at the same time, you know, when we were still in the process of doing this together, I had both the brokerage and I was building all of this up at the same time. And just to kind of backtrack too, for the first 3 years of building this, you know, this particular empire of light that we've been talking about, I didn't take 1 cent out of it. All the money, finance, like the money from the finance brokerage was funding me, and also funding the build of this, and all the money that went into, and I did receive like beautiful rewards. I knew what I was doing. All of that money was going back in. And at the beginning, we did a lot of payment plans in, like 90% of people that would come and work with me would take an in-house payment plan. Only 10% paid up front. And so I could have a $100,000, you know, dollar like sales month is what you would call it. Yet only like 20,000 would come in. And so when you're playing with, like when you're still in the earlier stages, cash flow honestly is always a little bit bumpy because there's so much to build still and so many things to do, you know, that whatever you can do to get more cash flow in, the easier the journey. And so I still remember when we came across the financiers that could do this, that could actually finance coach packages. It changed everything for me. Like literally within a couple of months, what this made available was so much more cash flow. Excuse me, at the time, this was years ago, I was literally doing tours around Australia, doing promotional events around Australia. And this enabled me to have, you know, 100K plus cash months as opposed to just sales months. And then invest more into team, into other art, like infrastructure, you know, into my own traveling and missions. And it changed everything. It was like day and night. It literally, like if you want a quantum jump, that's one of the quantum jump moments, because we do know that our empires need resources. They need a beautiful, abundant treasury filled with resources. If that treasury is not doing that great, then it's hard to run the whole empire. So yeah, to answer your question, it changed everything. I believe it's literally one of the reasons why I'm here now, because that enabled so much expansion to happen so quickly that expansion would not have happened that quickly. And because that expansion happened, infrastructure, softwares, people, like being able to hire more people, so I didn't have to do as much of the stuff. it's just, it changed everything. I believe it would have fast-tracked my own journey by many, many years, many years.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's kind of like that magic fertilizer, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
That makes everything grow. And I still remember that point in time. It would have been going back somewhere around 2015, 2016, somewhere around there. And I just remember how quickly the infrastructure grew for you. There was like a there was a Marga, and there was an operations manager. There was so much that went in so quickly.
Yeah, because a good team costs money.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like back, like we can use VAs and we can use agencies and stuff, and it's nice to be able to have access to support at the lower bracket. But if we want good people, I love that I can pay my operations manager 6 figures a year. I love that I can pay my coaches really, really well, that I can pay the people. I love that I can reward the people that are co-creating with me and honor them for what they do, really honor them, because there's too many people out there trying to find cheap solutions and get the best for the cheapest. And there's all these, that's not how we retain team. It's definitely not how they stay with us for a long time. And it's not how we have their heart, So it enabled that later stage that I spoke about. Once we've got the first few stages, our offering, our messaging, and our ability to have the right people receive our offerings that will love them, then the next piece is the expansion, which is team and expanding everything out and being able to serve more, because now we have the messaging work. So now we have people that know about us, which means we can expand how many offerings we have. We can expand everything, but we can't do that by ourselves. Team is everything.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And there's always there's 2 stages where there's a money outlay with our growth. One is at the beginning when we're planting the seeds. One is at the beginning when we're building the infrastructure and building the what you'd call the audience or the market or the platform. That takes time and money. The second one, once we've got enough people that have been following us for a while, that trust us and that are ready to purchase from us, and that's grown, then the second stage is team and architecture and infrastructure, and that takes another investment. And so often what will happen to people is they'll have money will dip at the beginnings, and then they're like, yay, and then it will dip again at the next stage. And that's another piece that's not spoken about. And it's normal. It's to me, it's so normal. It's if you build a house, it's going to cost you money to build it and you can't move in yet. We accept it, we go rent a place while we're building. And then the next part, furnishing that house, is another big outlay of money. And until you furnish it, you've got nowhere to sleep and sit, and we accept this. And yet somehow in our mission journeys, in our business journeys, there's been way too much hype about magical, 0 results. To hero, magical results. And no one's talking. It's instantly got a house built with full furniture and moved in 2 seconds. And it's my dream home, And just to finish up too, Kelly and I have also seen quite a few people go from 0 to hero and lose everything because they didn't have the architecture to really serve. Their teams stole from them. Their clients wanted to sue them. There's a few people that we saw be really great at the messaging part, really good at the marketing, yet didn't do they didn't do their structure right. And they couldn't actually serve the people that came. So it's all good and great to go 0 to 7 figures, yet if we don't have the architecture, the structure behind it, it breaks us. And it breaks everyone around us. And then recovering from something like that can take years or a lifetime. There's so much trauma that we've witnessed these other people go through, in recovering from these things. It's just
not worth the guilt, the shame, the feeling like an imposter. It's not worth it.
Yeah, love all the way, serve all the way, legacy all the way.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things is, ta-da! And just gonna say, one of my favorite things is having watched the growth of your business, back from those early days, having some of those clients now come back around with their own businesses set up to get finance implemented into their business. And for me, every time I see that full circle happen, it just makes my heart so happy. So yes, that does bring us to it.
Do you mean some of the souls that I was working with that were receiving from me back then, and now at a stage where they've developed everything, and now they're able to do this. It's
To do
wonderful.
their own. Yeah.
I love watching people make their dreams come true and living their missions. It's just, and I love you.
I love you too.
I say we do another one of these because there's so much more to share about this.
There are so many.
So much more.
Well, let's make this part one of a second one that's coming at a later date. It has been an honor and a privilege to have you on the show. Now, if any of our amazing listeners would like to get in contact with you to explore any of the beautiful offerings that you've been talking about today, what is the best way to do that?
Yep, gabykowalski.org, and check out my website. That's the website address. And I'm thinking Kelly will probably link it somewhere for you.
I will. So in here you will have links to the gabykowalski.org website,
and also the Oneness Foundation one. If any of you would like to find out more about volunteering for Magic School for Kids and serving kids, or if you'd like to put your own kids in, then we'll link that up too, if that's okay. And and when you do explore my website, there's a tab called Free Resources where there's about 17 different amazing workshops, transmissions that go super deep on so many of these aspects that we spoke of, and you can have a beautiful taste of working with me. And then another tab called Work with Gaby, where you can find out about the courses and
very good. So I'm going to put those links everywhere. When this goes up, you'll probably, if it's Facebook and socials, you'll see us both tagged in there. You can either private message us as well. If all the website stuff is just too hard, you can do that as well. So thank you. It's been a privilege and an honor, and I look forward to having you back again, Gabs. Thank you for listening to the Lifestyle Finance Show. If you loved this interview, please feel free to share it, because if it made a difference to you, it will absolutely make a difference to others. And if you are a coach, healer, or mentor, and you'd like to explore getting finance set up for your business so you can get paid in full from day one and financially support your clients in a far greater capacity than just your in-house payment plan, head over to my website, www.lifestylefinanceco.com, and follow the prompts so we can explore this further. Big love, beautiful soul, and thanks for the support.